destroying innocent lives and spilling very innocent blood. Any party that puts criminal aliens before American citizens should be voted out of office. The platform of the Democrat Party is to raise your taxes, increase your regulations, shut down American energy, release violent criminals, and destroy American jobs. It really is.
Now, there's a key part of what we were just listening to the president last night, aside from the economy, which is a little bit obvious, and that is the border and what's happening there and what Democrats in Texas are pushing for, which is...
The states that if Democrats take over Congress, the kinds of policies they'll put in are pretty radical.
Well, in Texas, we have three politicians. You've got the Senate candidate running against Ted Cruz, Beto O'Rourke. You've got Veronica Escobar, and you've got the gubernatorial candidate, Lupe Valdez, who, by the way, has a history as a customs past. They're trying to decriminalize the act of crossing the border being illegal.
Illegal border crossing.
Because the president's
that's not criminal anymore.
And really, we're at a time when people in America are worried about that border. They're worried about what's coming across, and they don't want to see us open the border so much as get tough on the border.
Yeah, if you look at the polls, immigration has really risen, not just for Republicans, but for Democrats and independents in terms of what they care about. The race with Beto O'Rourke, by the way, for those of you who don't know, he's running against Senator Ted Cruz in a very hot contest in Texas.
Polls suggest it's very close, closer than Cruz ever thought it would be.
Absolutely, closer than he thought. But last week, Beto O'Rourke was getting a lot of attention from Hollywood. He made some very sort of moderate and appealing message on the NFL anthem. I think he got a lot of confidence from, the millions of viewers on his, the video went viral from this town hall where he spoke about that. And I think now he's showing his true colors, because if you say decriminalize border crossing, what you're saying is open borders. And this is what the president is trying to remind people in this in this rally. If you vote for Democrats, if you get the Nancy Pelosi in charge of the House, they will abolish ICE. Nancy Pelosi, Maxine Waters, those are the people that were leading the party, who also happen to be for big government, many of the socialist policies that would interfere with the economic message
and by the way,
and success.
As soon as I mentioned there's nobody behind us on 6th Avenue, there's about 1,000 cars
right?
passing. So you might hear a little bit of that noise. But it's interesting because on the national security front as well, the president dealing with the resist movement, dealing with people like John Brennan, the former CIA director under Barack Obama. That's normally a position that when you retire, when you step down, it's nonpartisan. You're not sitting around nitpicking everything that the next president from the opposite party is doing, number one. And number two, you certainly don't accuse that new president of treason, which is what John Brennan did. He tried sort of to walk it back recently, but last night went on Bill Maher and doubled down.
I'm worried, because now we are in a crisis. There needs to be some reckoning in the Republican Party that we can't allow this to go on. He's dividing Americans, and so I'm really concerned that as he continues to play to his base, he's further dividing us. And I'm really concerned about whether this could spill over into the streets. They need to act before there's a real disaster.
So Brennan, as you said, doubling down, and all of us wondering, why would he do that? He just had a security clearance removed. He says he wants it back. Why is he doubling down? Well, Dan Bongino thinks that maybe Brennan has something to hide.
Spill into the streets? Are you serious? This is a constitutional republic, okay? We do our damage in the voting booth. We don't spill it into the streets and start attacking our neighbors. This is not a violent country. We're talking about the same guy who was the puppet master for this entire spying scandal on the Trump team. He exchanged information with foreign intelligence and then briefed Capitol Hill on some of that information, incentivizing the FBI to go after the Trump team. This guy's the worst of the worst.
Dan's right. He's knee deep in this Russia hoax.
He is, and you know what's... It was unprecedented for a president to yank a former CIA director's clearance, which is lifetime. However, this is truly unprecedented. You know, President Trump is accused of waging a war against the intelligence community. Well, guys like John Brennan, with comments like that, doubling down, pushing it further, particularly with the comments of, what's going to break out in the streets, is doing no help to that argument.
Especially when you have others in the intelligence community like James Clapper, who used to be the director of national intelligence, no fan of President Trump. He's been a fierce critic, but instead instead, he stood up recently and said, you know what? I'm not a huge fan of the president, but John Brennan's going a little far. He should not have accused the commander-in-chief of treason. And you remember Rachel Maddow pressed Brennan about that a week or so ago, and he started saying, well, I didn't really accuse him of treason. Now he's back to saying, yeah, treason. Because he's probably getting pressure from the left. And that gets back to the idea. Former CIA directors are supposed to be nonpartisan. They're not supposed to be listening to the extreme left or the extreme right, and they're certainly not expected to be or supposed to be leading the resist movement against the commander-in-chief.
That's right. And when people hear that, they feel like the intelligence community is waging a war against the president. Well, we're going to turn now to some headlines for you, and we begin with a Fox News alert. Hurricane Lane weakening into a tropical storm, but still drenching Hawaii with torrential rains and gusty winds. Overnight, firefighters working tirelessly to stop 3 wildfires that destroyed several homes. The storm's biggest threat right now is catastrophic flooding that's expected to intensify throughout the weekend. Tributes are pouring in after Senator John McCain stops medical treatment for brain cancer. The Arizona Governor Doug Ducey saying in part, quote, John McCain is an American hero, always putting country before self. From Vietnam to the halls of the U.S. Senate, the spirit of service and civility that has guided Senator McCain's life stands as a model for all Americans. Trump-backed candidate Troy Balderson officially winning Ohio's special election. Balderson declared victory earlier this month, but Democrat Danny O'Connor did not concede because of the small 0.8% margin. That's really tight. The battle is not over yet. Balderson and O'Connor will face each other again in November for a full term. President Trump rips the NFL's TV partners for refusing to show our national anthem.
CBS, I just heard, they just joined the crew, and ESPN have decided not to broadcast, so they don't have any controversy. Can you imagine? They're not going to broadcast the national. CBS and ESPN. How do we like that? Is that good?
Fox Sports will only show the anthem before games on special occasions this season. Now, we asked your thoughts on whether networks should air the anthem. In an email, Phil writes, watched football my whole life. I'm 63 years old. I will not watch football again till they start every game with broadcasting the anthem.
And Scott tweets, I only say no because I don't want to give them a stage for protests.
And Mark sends in this email, have any of the NFL players done anything in support of their protest in the offseason? Good question.
That is a great question.
Or are they all about publicity and no action? So do they follow it up? Is this about genuine protest? Do they follow up in their communities, whether it's where the team is based or where they have their homes and their families based in the offseason? Do they actually follow up on this, or are they just making a show of it?
It's a really great point. I'm sure some do, but I think for many others, it's just an easy gesture to, get on your knees and possibly offend a lot of people.
So you're both parents, as am I. And you know that moment when your child argues with you and they're just not going to win, and you're like, stop, you're not going to win this fight.
Yeah.
It's like the president initiated this battle over the anthem. He clearly won it last year. It hurt the NFL games. Now you see they're coming back to it, and the president's like, okay, I'll keep fighting this, but you're not going to win this argument. And now we're going to see, as one of those, some of those viewers were just saying, they're going to tune out. That could have really, by the time fall really hits here, devastating.
And when you have some of the fans writing in to us like that saying, I'm not going to watch it anymore, and this is going to affect them economically, you would think the commissioner, Roger Goodell, at some point would step in. He's tried and failed a couple of times, or a few times, to just fix this, figure out what is our policy, so as a business but also as entertainment that people want to watch on Sunday and have a good time, fix this thing once and for all.
How about just be American? Something we can unite around is definitely the flag and the anthem.
All
That's
right. Meanwhile, the president's war of words with Attorney General Jeff Sessions keeps on escalating. How can the Attorney General serve justice if he doesn't have the confidence of the president? That's coming up.
Plus, it was the play of the baseball game, and it wasn't even on the field. How one dad's incredible instincts saves his kids.
I love this story. Look at that. That's a hero.
I'm in love.